Felicitous greetings, fellow fanatics.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm AtF, and today we're taking a look at Fight Deck, a dueling card game inspired by fighting video games by High Octane Studios. Please do bear in mind that this is a preview based off of a prototype copy. As such, nothing is finalized, anything seen herein is subject to change. Without any further ado, let's dive in. In Fight Deck, two players will duke it out, attempting to outzone and outwit their opponent. In this preview version, we have two characters, Covenant Supreme and Dragon Fighter, the latter of which is clearly inspired by the dual protagonists Ryu and Ken. Before setup, it's important to note that, unlike most two-player games, Fight Deck assumes that the players will be seen adjacent to one another. The player on the left should take the player 1 deck, while the player on the right should take a player 2 deck. You may both play the same character if you so wish. Each player should have a portrait card, which isn't really used for gameplay and can be set aside if you wish. You'll also have 4 super move cards with red borders, which you should display in a row so that both players can read them, 5 Wakeup move cards with yellow borders, which should be kept close by, and a 30 card basic move deck with blue borders, which should be shuffled before beginning. After shuffling, separate it into 2 decks, an 18 card life deck and a 12 card action deck. As you take hits, cards will be removed from your life deck and placed into your action deck. If your life deck ever runs out, you lose. Make sure you have enough room between your cards for 2 vertical columns. Both players should then draw 3 cards from their action deck, and with that, you're ready to begin. In Fight Deck, you have 3 different types of rounds. The first round will always be a neutral round, which starts off somewhat chaotically, as both players will be playing cards at random from the top of their decks. After both players have done this, you'll check to see if either has advantage, first by comparing stances and hitboxes. Your stance shows whether you are currently standing, ducking, or jumping. Many cards will also have a burst symbol, which means it's particularly effective against the stance of the same color. If you're colorblind, then note that they are also positioned high, medium, or low. If one player's hitbox matches the other player's stance, and the other does not, then the player who does not match is considered pressured and will move on to the counter step, which I'll explain in a moment. If neither player has an advantage via hitbox, then you'll compare speed, as shown in the top right corner of the cards, with the higher value winning. Again, the loser will be pressured and move on to the counter step. If both players are still tied with speed values, then simply have both of them play another card off the top of their deck and start the neutral round over again. Cards will be played on top of each other to form your meter, which can later be used to pay for super moves. Once a player is pressured, they must play a super move or a card from their hand that overcomes or ties the one their opponent last played. I'll explain super moves a little later, and you probably won't be able to play one of these on your first turn anyways. In this case, since low kick uses a ducking stance, Covenant Supreme can counter with jumping punch since its hitbox beats low kick, or can play a low kick of her own which will tie it. When you defeat a move, it's considered an aggressive counter, and if you tie, it's considered a bear counter. This doesn't usually matter, but some card effects will make reference to such. After a player counters, the other player has the opportunity to do the same, and this will go back and forth until one player is unable to do so. Once this happens, you'll look at the last card successfully played. All basic and super move cards will have 1 or more red symbols, known as hit confirm effects. For example, Dragon Fist or Low Jab would simply deal 2 damage. When this happens, move 2 cards from the life deck to the action deck of the player that took the hit. There are also 2 symbols that tell you what the next sort of round will be. This symbol means that the player in question will go into a combo round where they'll try to deal as much damage as possible while their opponent is hit stun. Alternatively, this symbol will start a wake-up round. If the last card played has neither of these symbols, then you'll simply start another neutral round instead. In a combo round, only the active player will play. You may start by playing any card, though you'll generally want to start with as high of a speed as you have available. This can come from your hand, your super moves, or even be played blindly from the top of your action deck if you so choose. You'll continue to play cards one at a time until the card played is equal to or higher than the card above it, at which point the combo ends. When the combo is over, your opponent will take 1 damage for each card in the combo, as well as the hit confirm effects of the final card. If the total damage from hit confirm and number of cards is 5 or less, then you've performed a weak combo and your opponent will draw 1 card as a result. After the combo round, remove any super moves and return them to your reserve. Then, take the basic moves and add them to your meter. It's also important to note that you cannot go from a combo round into another combo. If the hit confirm effect on the last card says you would, you'll instead go into what's called a slow wake up round. Wake Up rounds involve using the 5 Wake Up cards. Temporarily add these to your hand. Each Wake Up round will have at least one player as the initiator. If you started a Wake Up round with a knockdown symbol, this means that you are the sole initiator. If a Wake Up round is started because of a combo symbol during a combo round, then both players are the initiators. Each player will secretly choose a card from their hand. If you're an initiator, you may play either a basic or a Wake Up move. Otherwise, you may only play a Wake Up move. Compare moves just as you would during a neutral round. If there's a clear winner, then that player resolves their hit confirm effects as normal. Otherwise, you'll head into another neutral round. There are 2 other things you should be aware of. Firstly, if there's a yellow icon in the bottom left corner of a card, that means it has a special effect. Refer to your character's reference sheet for details. Finally, I should also briefly mention super moves. At the bottom of each super move is a cost. Every super will have a number on it, and most of them will also have a symbol. If it has a symbol, then you must first discard a card with that matching symbol from your gauge. Regardless of whether or not there's a key cost, you'll also need to discard cards from your gauge with speed equal to or greater than the cost on the card. Any cards that you discard to do this will go into your burn pile. Bear in mind that you may never burn a super or Wake Up card. Players will continue shifting back and forth between these 3 types of rounds until one player's life deck is depleted, at which point the surviving player is the winner. As this is a prototype copy, I'll not be going into component quality at this time. However, what I can say is that the artwork is very on point and extremely reminiscent of Street Fighter III in particular. I should also note that in true fighting game style, it is likely, although not certain at this point, that the player 2 decks may have a palette swap before the game is finalized. As for the game itself, it's a fast-paced slugfest that does an excellent job of capturing the feel of games like Street Fighter or King of Fighters. The finished version is planned to have 4 sets, each of which will feature 2 fighters in 4 decks, each of which will have a separate 1 and 2 player deck, that way that you can have mirror matches right out of the box. Since I reviewed Exceed and BattleCon, you may be wondering how it compares to those. As this is a prototype, I don't want to make any definitive statements about which one I prefer at this time. What I will say is that the BattleCon system does a better job of capturing the feel of zoning, however, Fight Deck does a better job of capturing the feel of juggling and comboing. As this is a prototype copy, I'll not be giving Fight Deck a formal review score at this time. However, what I can say is that High Octane Studio is definitely living up to its name with a fast and furious first showing. Fight Deck will be launching soon on Kickstarter, with the dev currently aiming for February 25th. If you're interested in backing or learning more, links are included in the description. But what about you? What do you think of Fight Deck? What board games inspired by fighting video games do you enjoy? If you have any questions, remarks, or opposing points of view, leave them in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. If you really enjoy my work, please consider funding my channel on Patreon. Until next time, farewell, fellow fanatics. Thank you again for watching. I have plenty more to share with you if you're interested. You can click up here above my head to subscribe to my channel. You can click over here on my monitor to see the most recent video that I've worked on. Or if you prefer, you can click up here to open this mysterious vault and see what video that the YouTube algorithm has picked just for you.